everyone. I am Bethany Zell. I'm the Program Director for Healthy You at Cary Medical Center, and welcome to Wellness Wednesday Live. We are excited that you're here with us today, and I am joined today by Miss Jann Jackson, who works on Cary Medical Center's Power of Prevention program, and she works specifically in the area of substance use and abuse. And we wanted to have her on this month because this is National Recovery Awareness Month, the entire month of September. So we're going to talk a little bit with Jann today about some of the impacts that we're seeing on the recovery community through the pandemic and even prior to the pandemic, and some of the work that we're doing through the Power of Prevention program to address some of these issues. So thanks for being here, Jann.
Well, thank you for inviting me.
Okay, so what kind of impacts have we seen on the substance use world as this COVID-19 pandemic has developed?
Well, COVID-19 has not been kind to the substance use world more than it has to anybody else, unfortunately. I can use a quick statistic that I just learned in July when I attended the opioid summit down in Bangor. Actually, it was on Zoom, but it was presented from Bangor. And there was a doctor there that was speaking, and he said that from January 1st to June 30th of this year that we have had 259 overdose deaths.
Wow.
Which is a lot.
Is that heuristic or is that Maine?
That's the state of Maine. And considering that we had just a little over 280 in all of 2017, that is quite an impact.
That is
quite an
significant.
impact, yeah.
Wow. So yeah, I'm sure the isolation and people quarantining out of concerns for their safety, I know that that's definitely impacted the substance use world, people turning to drugs and or alcohol for kind of that comfort in this season of disconnect. So you work mostly in the world of prevention, although you do work directly with the recovery community as well. So how effective is prevention in the area of substance use? What kind of successes are you seeing come from some of those?
We have a program called Prime for Life that we have gotten some training on. It's a national program, and it's a wonderful program. It starts with the high school years, and we have toned it down. I say toned it down a little bit in that we take some of the examples that are in that program and we bring them down to the 12 and 13-year-old level, so we can teach the program at the junior high level, or what is it called now? Elementary? I can't remember.
Middle school, I guess. Yeah, middle school.
So that you're looking at 12 and 13-year-olds who are learning to be able to say no and how to say no. A lot of this I practice on my own grandchildren, so they ask me questions and I ask them what it is that they would like to know, so I know what I can deliver when I need to deliver at a time at a school, or when we have a conference of some kind, or if we have the Prime for Life program that we do offer. Excuse me. We also have some peer recovery groups that come in and do talking to the kids. The DARE program hasn't worked out as well as we had hoped it would, and that has kind of come and gone, even though there are some communities that still have the DARE program. However, when we have a lot of speakers come in, and we have a lot who are more than happy to do so, some of them do it because that's part of their court commitment, and instead of going to jail or doing some jail time and coming back, they need to do some speaking to the community, and a lot of them choose to do it to the students, with students, to be able to explain to them, what it is that went wrong with them, or what they should not have done, or what they could have done. And how you sit and look at some of your friends sometimes are not actually the friends that you think that they are, because they come back and react a little bit differently as they become a little older, and as you both become a little bit older. So part of that prevention is something that we work on as much as we possibly can. The best prevention that I can suggest is to make sure that you have open, total, and honest communication with parents and children at all times. And start when they're 2 years old, when they're newborn, when you start telling them that, no, this is not what you do. And we have a couple of children who have made comments before that have said, well, Mom has a glass of wine every night, how is that bad? So we're trying to teach prevention, but at the same time, we don't want to tell the students that, well, your mother's wrong, because Mom is not wrong. This is what Mom is doing right now. She's an adult. She can make her decisions. And so all of these are things that you need to look at and talk about as a parent to your child and be able to express the difference from right and wrong. So is it wrong to have a glass of wine? Maybe to this child it is because that's what they see, and from that they have more negative things that happen. And maybe it isn't wrong, and you need to explain the positive on that as well.
For sure. And I know, like when I was doing work on our drug-free communities grants, that these conversations with your children cannot start early enough.
Correct.
They really, I mean, as much as we can engage and create that safe space for our kids to express themselves and share their concerns and share what they're seeing in their peer groups and feel comfortable, coming home and saying, Mom, so-and-so at school was talking about getting together and doing this or that, and I know we've talked about that not being good, and I'm worried about my friend, and having that safe space, that container,
Yes.
that it's okay to come and talk to me about these issues, and you don't have to worry that the parent is gonna automatically
Right.
assume that they're involved in it, that they're allowed to have these valid concerns and talk to you about that.
And I think that becomes a lot easier if you start as a parent, and let's say you have a 2-year-old and you start talking to your 2-year-old, and your 2-year-old doesn't understand, but you do. And part of what is good about talking to your 2-year-old was, one is they don't talk back, so
That's always good.
so that's good. And second is that you can always kind of have a practice session, and this gives you your safe bubble, because when you start making mistakes, the 2-year-old doesn't understand that yet. So you can start correcting yourself before you even realize that. You can start doing research, and you can say, I've done this and I've looked at this. And one of the things that I've done, I feel kind of guilty doing this sometimes, but I buy the Time magazines that speaks a lot about, let's say, marijuana. And I feel guilty when I go up to the counter and I put the book down so people can see. They think that I'm doing marijuana because I'm buying a book that talks about marijuana, when really all I'm trying to do is educate myself. And in trying to educate myself, if I have a 2-year-old, my 2-year-old hasn't read this, my 2-year-old doesn't know, but it's given me an opportunity to be able to say, I'm getting comfortable with this. I want to be able to express this. It's giving, your partner an opportunity to come in and be able to talk as well. And if you have older children, it gives them an opportunity to listen and to even participate, because they get to ask questions, even though you may be speaking to the 2-year-old.
For sure, and I'm sure with the different age groups as well, they have different perspectives.
Oh, definitely.
And different vantage points. So what the teen might be contributing to the conversation would be obviously vastly different than the younger generation.
And the teen is seeing something at their school, if they're in school, or even if they're not, even if they're on a Zoom meeting or doing the technological stuff, they're still experiencing and seeing things. There's still opportunities for them to meet elsewhere, to meet at the store, or to be able to go out and have lunch or do something. So those opportunities are always there. And I know that I've always told my kids, and now I'm trying to tell my grandchildren the same thing, is that when you hear this and when you see this, come back and talk to me. If you're not feeling safe talking to your friend, if you're not feeling safe talking to an adult or to a parent, find an adult. If it's a grandparent, that's fantastic. If it's an uncle, that's all fantastic as well. If it's ministry, somebody who's in ministry, that's wonderful. Please find somebody that you feel safe with. This is the biggest part of prevention, is to be able to find someone that is in your comfort zone and who understands you, you feel safe, that you can communicate with, and you know will understand what it is that you're saying.
Now, do you think as a parent it's important for the parent to know who that person is for their child, even if it's not them? Or is it just a message that we need to get out to the youth, that they should have a person? I don't know if the parents need to be involved in that decision,
I think as a parent myself, I think it would be awesome if I knew that, but I would hope that already having a good relationship with my child, that there's a potential that that child would already tell me that. And if not, I would feel ecstatic that my child would have somebody like you, for instance, to go to and say, well, Susie's mom, and know that I trusted Susie's mom. That would be wonderful. If I knew that Susie's mom was an addict, that would be a totally different thing.
Right. Yeah, and so that's why I guess from a parental perspective, I'd want to know that the person that my child was looking to as that really valuable, safe resource is exactly that.
Yes.
I would definitely want to know. But I mean, obviously we can't force our kids into these conversations.
And I think if you're not sure of the person that your child is speaking to, there's always counseling.
Yeah.
There's an opportunity to go to counseling. There's an opportunity to be able to say, I need to get a better communication system going with my child or my children, and I need to better understand why she would pick somebody else, so that maybe I can help contribute to that, or that person can help contribute this safety zone for me and for my child.
Perfect. Yeah, I get it. That's really good. So, locally, have there been any new initiatives or services that have kind of come around locally, whether it's been in response to the pandemic, or whether it was just programs and things that were in the works prior to the pandemic that have either come out? Have things been tabled? What is that kind of looking like?
No, I don't think anything's been tabled. As a matter of fact, I think things have been heightened. If you're looking at prevention, I don't think there's a whole lot of new things that have come out for prevention. But in recovery, which I sometimes feel is a second prevention, once you've gotten into recovery, you need to remember that you don't want to go back again. So you need to keep looking at that prevention stuff as well.
You're preventing relapse at that point.
Yes, exactly. And you want to keep that in your heart and head, because that's something that becomes very important. But in recovery, we have had a plethora of items that have been going on in our community and in our county, in Worcester County. We've had 2 recovery centers that have opened within the past couple of years, thanks to the help of AMHC and Cary Medical Center. And we have hired 2 executive directors of those 2 centers. One is in Holton, one is in Caribou. And we are hoping to open another one in the northern part of the county really soon, hopefully Fort Canada, Madawaska area. We have had a men's sober/recovery house that has opened. We are hopefully in the process right now of opening a women's recovery house. The men's sober house has been Maine certified, which is absolutely wonderful, because that gives us a lot more credentials and certifications, obviously. More, what's the word I want, more credentials, more
clout, I guess. Higher standard of reputation.
Yeah, because we are now accountable, not just to us and to the people in recovery, but also to the people of the state of Maine, because they're the ones who have given us this opportunity.
So what's the difference between a recovery house and a sober house? Is there a difference?
I think it's just the words
compatible?
and the connotations. They are compatible. I think a lot of people look at sober as being more of an AUD problem, which is an alcohol use disorder problem. So sobriety, when they look at sobriety, they associate that a lot more so with alcohol than with drug use. Drug use, unfortunately, the words that are used are words that we're still struggling with, even people in recovery are struggling with, because then it becomes, they're clean now, so they're not doing drugs anymore. So that's something that has become kind of controversial, but we're still looking. And that's the only word we have at the moment, because the connotation is if you're doing drugs, you're dirty. And that's not necessarily so.
Right.
People who do drugs and sometimes are functioning either alcoholics or drug addicts, they can still be in the work field and doing what they're doing, not necessarily at their top best, but certainly doing it. So the sober recovery house, at this point, we're trying to make sure it's called a recovery house, because people can come in as recovering from anything, with the exception of maybe eating too many donuts, which is what I like to do.
Yeah, we need another recovery house for that kind of a problem. Yes. Okay, so as we start to wrap up, the theme for this year's National Recovery Awareness Month is actually Join the Voices of Recovery, Celebrating Connections. And we already kind of talked about that connection from the prevention standpoint. But why are connections important to the recovery community, and how are the people in our local recovery communities staying connected currently?
Well, I'm going to talk about a couple of things.
Yeah.
One of the first things I want to talk about is this Aroostook County resource directory that we have, that we put out every year. This is our most recent one, and we just put this out a few months ago, and we're still delivering these. They are being delivered to hospitals, to police departments, to social workers, to you name it, we have it. We have it. Yep, we have them available in emergency rooms. They are from from Allagash down to Danforth that these are available. And there's also a website on the back right here, if you can see that. I don't know.
Yeah, we'll post the links too.
Yep, and so that you can go. This whole book is available on the website. So we have this that people can look at and say, this is where I can go. There's a whole pile of information about where you can go for counseling if you need counseling. There are AA, and already, even though this has only been out a couple of months, there's already a bunch of places like where AA and NA is available. We have some places that we have CA that's available, which is Cocaine Anonymous. And like I said, we've already outdated some of these. We have some new ones that have come in, so it's best if you do have a book that you go to the website and look at the website to be able to get some information from them.
So the website is even more current than in the book. Okay, great.
We try to update the website every single week.
Nice.
Try to make sure that it's where it
And
needs to be.
this
And
is
if you
really
have
comprehensive.
It is. And if you have information that you can't find, like if you're looking for AA and you can't find it under AA, look under some of the churches. Because sometimes it's listed under the church and not under the AA.
Yep.
So you want to look at it very completely. And if you have somebody who knows or has information, get the information, get it to us, and if it needs to be changed, we will be able to change
Yeah, I
it.
mean, and look, I know you guys can't see all this, but just AA meetings in Aroostook County. I mean, this is 2 whole pages of AA and NA meetings that are available in our local communities currently. And, you know, as Jan just shared, they're changing and new ones are being added. And, you know, as the pandemic goes on, I'm sure that they're being more creative about what those will look like going forward. Are they doing anything virtually? Are there virtual meetings?
There have been some virtual ones. As a matter of fact, I was just teaching at the jail, and they are now allowed tablets. So we're working on getting something for AA and NA on the tablets for them to be able to check out every day, because it's recommended that you go every day if you can go to an NA or AA meeting. So we have that, and we have those at the recovery centers in Cary. It's the Roads to Recovery, which is every single day as well.
Yep, and that's at 1 Water Street in Caribou, for those who aren't
And we
familiar.
have Arch in Cary, which is a Aroostook Recovery Center of Hope, and that in Holton, excuse me, that's in Holton, and that is on, I think it's called North Street.
Yep,
Is that what it is?
36 North
Yep.
Street.
And it's almost right across from the FAP body, if anybody knows where that is. And there's a big wooden sign outside now, so it's very easy to see. And they have recovery meetings every single day. They have them in the morning, they have them at lunchtime, and they have them afternoon. So if you can't make it in the morning, you certainly can go at lunchtime, and if you can't make it then, you can go in the evening after you get done work. They're trying to make this as accessible to people as possible. So that's one of the biggest things that we've had happen in Aroostook County, and something that is available right now for us for celebrating recovery and celebrating connections, because this is how we survive, is through the connections. Which brings me to supports. Supports are so important. The support that we get from NA and NA is something that people look forward to. And in the program that we offer, the Prime for Life program that we offered, there was one gentleman who said, I was walking down the stairs and I was going to my first meeting, he said, and people were laughing, and he said, all I could think of was, I'm in the wrong room, because if you're in recovery, you're not laughing and having fun. And he said, some guy came out and saw me and said, hey, come on in. And he said, I went in, and sure enough, it was a recovery meeting, and they were laughing and having fun. And he said, I didn't think you could have fun unless you were drunk or high. Or he said, I've been in this place now for years and years and years. And he said, we have a blast. And we do laugh, and I laugh. So he said those supports become very important. And if you're young and if you're looking for supports, again, I want to say, go to mom and dad. They haven't given up. Go to your friends. They haven't given up. Go to the people who love you, who you love and trust. Don't go to the people who sold you your drugs. Go to the people who are there for you. I'm there for you. I'm more than happy to be able to do anything I possibly can, anytime I can. And if you need to reach me, you can. Go on the website and you'll be able to find me. And there are plenty of other people there who will be able to do that as well.
Awesome.
Support is important no matter what it is you're looking for support for.
For sure.
It's there.
And the website, we'll post the link, but it's powerofprevention.org. And that's a great way that you can connect with Jan with this amazing resource guide for substance use and abuse, and resources that will help people in all walks of life. I noticed there's stuff for parents of kids that are struggling, and meetings for siblings of people that are struggling. And so, you know, when someone is using and abusing, I think it is important to remember that it's not just impacting that person. It's impacting
Right.
all those connections that
Every
they
single
have
one. It's a
in
ripple.
life.
Yep. Every
So
single one.
everyone who knows an addict or knows someone who's struggled and dealing with these issues, they're all impacted. So it's good that anybody who's having any kind of connection gets the resources and the access that they need to connect and walk through the recovery journey together.
And sometimes that recovery journey takes us to different spaces. We even offer yoga. And if yoga's going to do it for you, then come on down.
Yeah, and I think that's part of the recovery process too, is finding new ways to do things that were originally earmarked
Yeah.
for substance use or alcohol. And so I've noticed the Recovery Center has done like a New Year's kind of a celebration thing, because that's a time of year where people tend
Exactly.
to use and abuse. And so
Exactly.
having those places that are safe, that they're not going to have to worry about that temptation. And it doesn't necessarily mean that that's just for people who are newly in recovery, because even 10, 15, 20 years out, you can still struggle. And those
Definitely.
things can be triggers for behavior that you had many moons ago.
And I have alcoholism in my family. So for me, it's not that I'm in recovery, even though technically when you look up the definition of recovery, I am. Because I have been a part of that. So for me to be in that and to be able to experience that and to go to places where nobody's drinking or putting the pressure for me to have a drink or to, snort up some cocaine, or to be able to say, oh yeah, let's go in the back room. It's great. We're all in there. We're all laughing, like this gentleman said. We're all having a great time. That's part of what life is. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for being here,
thank
for
you.
sharing this information with us. And like I said, we'll post the links and we'll make sure that everyone can access this info, because it is super important. And, look for ways that you can plug in. I know they just did the overdose awareness celebration and vigil. That was August 31st, which was that day of recognition. And so they had a beautiful luminaria celebration and a vigil. And I know that in local communities throughout this month of recovery awareness, that there are some great things going on. I know the Recovery Center in Caribou and Holton have both been doing some great programs and different kinds of things, making naloxone available in the communities and trying to help prevent primary use and then enable that recovery that so
And I
many
just
people
want to make
desperately
a
need.
comment on the naloxone as well. There is the intermuscle and there is the nasal, and they're doing training at both of the recovery centers. Anytime you can just walk in and say, I would like training, you will get training, and you will leave with naloxone.
Nice.
You will leave, right now they're doing a training with the nasal, and you will leave with 2 nasal. That is the most effective, the most quick way to be able to revive somebody is with the nasal, so that's what they're doing right now. But if you prefer the intermuscle, a lot of people don't like that because it has to do with needles. So, but it is available, and if you want to go in today, right now, right this minute, and they'll take you.
Yep. Hope you'll check in, and thank you everyone for stopping in and joining us for Wellness Wednesday Live. We hope we'll see you back here in 2 weeks. We'll be talking about Healthy Aging Month, which is also in September, and that'll be our topic for our next Wellness Wednesday Live on September 23rd at 1 p.m. So join us back here, and we will see you all soon. Thank you.